Hello everyone and welcome to Jones Air and Water. This edition of tutorial is how and why do we need a filtration system. As you can imagine, my tagline for my business is you can be a filter or you can buy a filter. Got it on everything I own that I wear, have it on the back of my displays. I have it trademarked and there's a reason for that. And I'm going to explain that to you real quick before I get into filtration. The way I see it is everything we put in us, our body has to filter in some way, whether it's take the nutrients out of the food we eat or the beverages we drink or discard the things that we don't need on a regular basis. So our body is a filter. And I know we've all heard this statement, you are what you eat. And I'm going to stick with that theme because today's society, we're not eating what our grandfathers and great-grandfathers ate, not even our parents, most of us. I have customers that are 85, 90 years old that get around better than customers I have that are 50 or 60 years old. Why is that? Well, the simple thing I can think of is they grew up in a hard time and they grew their own food and they had nutrients in that food. The stuff we're getting today just doesn't have that. So I'm going to get off that soapbox, but the reason for you can be a filter or buy a filter is the air we breathe and the liquids that we ingest or we bathe with or whatever, they have the potential to have certain types of contaminants in them. And it's not really that they're a contaminant as much as they are just a thing in your water. And some of those things you may not want in your water if you knew they were there, or your air if you're breathing them in. So today's tutorial is about carbon filtration. Okay, this is a tank that has activated carbon inside of it. Okay, this is a full 50, 60 pound bag of carbon. Okay, and inside of this bag is something similar to what I'll help you understand is like pumice. Okay, pumice has millions of sites in a chunk that's about this big. Well, those millions of sites are in that bag, but they're in bitty things that we can't see. They're almost as small as the resin I was talking about in a water softener. But those sites, if you put them under a microscope, are there, and the contaminants in our water that we can't see are going into those sites. So the concept behind a filtration system, in this case this is a carbon filtration unit, has 1.5 bags of carbon inside that tank, and that will have the ability to take out volatile organic chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers, chlorine, chloramines, which is something that many people don't know about. Today's Missouri American Water or Illinois American Water, whichever side of the river you're on, uses chlorine and ammonia compounds, and those form what's called chloramines. And they use that because they pump the water so far in order to keep the residual chlorine effect up to disinfect the water for the people at the end of the line. It's a double-edged sword because chlorine is a carcinogen when you mix it with organic compounds, and all that water comes right out of the river, which is full of organics. So that's why they started adding ammonia to it, to get it to the residual downstream farther and take them out of the carcinogen effect. But at the same time, over the last 10-15 years that I've been servicing the water in the St. Charles County area and in the Illinois areas across the river that have taken on those two American water companies, I've recognized that the rubber components inside of every product that the water passes through, whether it's your toilets in your tank, whether it's the rubber compounds in your sinks and faucets, whether it's the rubber components inside the valves that operate the systems, no matter where it is, all that rubber is being degenerated by the water that you are using on a daily basis. So my suggestion is you take it out of the water. When it gets to your house, it's done its job. It's made the water safe all the way from the water plant where they put the chloramines in the water, and it's made it 10 miles, 20 miles, 35, 45 miles, depending on where you're getting your water, where you're at and where you're getting your water from. St. Louis City water goes all the way out to Augusta, Missouri, and all the way out towards Defiance as well. So it stretches a long way, and they have to make sure it's potable when it gets to those folks, and that's a good thing. And then the bad thing is what we want to do, or what I promote, is taking that out, and that's what carbon, activated carbon, does. So our tutorial for today is activated carbon in a tank can be put in your home and have all of those things reduced or removed from your water. I hesitate to say the word remove, because nothing is removed completely out of anything we do unless you distill the water. So in this case, it takes out 99.9% of the chlorine that's in your water, takes out a minimum of 80% of anything that's a volatile organic chemical, up to as much as 99% of those types of chemicals. Things that end in ene, ide, ane, or or, benzene, chloride, fluorine, those types of things, those are all volatile organic chemicals. Some of them are heavy metals. So depending on the type of carbon that's put in the system, each one of them has a separate or distinct operation method that they utilize. In this case, this one goes through a backwash, so it cleans. The carbon in this tank is about this deep, and when it goes through a backwash, the water comes in at the bottom and forces all that carbon to move around and be stirred up inside there. And we use what's called a Vortec tank, so the entire tank at the bottom is a distributor and stirs that media up really well and cleans the media as well as it can with the backwashing mode. It forces that down the drain, and then a rinse cycle comes in and settles the bed back down, and it's worthy for another 3, 4, 5, 10 days, depending on the water quality that you have, before it has to backwash again. And that's how a automatic backwashing system. You can get these also as just a cartridge, little bitty 2.5 by 10 inch cartridge that you have to replace on a regular basis. This will treat about 1,200,000 gallons of water at 1 part per million of chlorine without you having to do anything to it. It does it all by itself. And then at that time, that carbon would have to be replaced. Today's cost to do that kind of thing, somewhere between $500 and $600. So for 8 to 10 years, you'll have a system that takes care of itself, and then when it's time to do that, that's what you'll spend to maintain this system. So that's Jones Air and Water's tutorial for you can be a filter or buy a filter today. If you got any questions, you can reach us at 636-899-1040 or at 888-379-2243. Hey, you all have a great day. Thanks for listening.